Life. My name is Amanda Kaufman, and it is a Monday morning, and I love Mondays. And I started doing this Extra Life broadcast a few weeks ago, and I thought I'd keep it going. And today I decided that I was going to intentionally broadcast across a few different of my platforms as well as into the Extra Life Facebook group. And so if you would like to join us in the Extra Life, all you've got to do is say planner. And not only can you come and join us inside of the Facebook group, you can also get a copy of one of my favorite habits that have helped me with having more extra in my life, which is my weekly review process. I love doing a weekly review because it helps me to really appreciate the things that are happening that are so good, even the challenges that are going on in my life. But it also helps me to set up for an amazing week ahead. So if you are really excited about building a life that is extra and has much too much of the things that you really, really want to have in your life, too much of the best friends that you want to have, building a better financial life, building a better family life, building a better life of vitality, then hey, come and join us. And you can just say planner around this video to get a copy of it. If you happen to be in the Extra Life Facebook group and you just lost track of that planner somehow, you can also say planner and we'll make sure that we get a copy of that planner over to you. So this week, I wanted to share with you 5 key habits that have helped me over the past decade or so with building more of what I enjoy and what is going to help set me up for my better future self in an extra life. And I'm excited to share those 5 key habits with you today. So buckle up, and whatever is really resonating with you, do let me know. I'm excited to hear about it. Let's dig in. So the first of the habits is actually that weekly review, and I want to go over it in a little bit more detail with you. I'm going to actually see if I have a copy of it on my computer. I should. I think I have it. I just did an organization project of my different assets and lead magnets because I've been doing a bit of a project around that. Let's see. Do I have it here? Maybe lead magnets. There it is. Free lead magnets. There it is. Weekly review checklist. There she is. Okay, awesome. I'm going to just make this so that it is nice and big. Okay, cool. So I want to show you kind of that desktop view. Can we get this working? Yes. Okay, awesome. So if you can figure out what really matters to you in your life, I feel like this question of what do you really want is one of the hardest questions to answer in your business, in your marriage, in your health, and a lot of us just default to what media, social media, magazines tell us that we're supposed to want. And, or family, right? That could be another source, or what our friends tell us. And I know for me, when I was really wanting to improve my quality of life, I was finding it so challenging to even want to do New Year's resolutions. And that's why this first habit of a weekly review is something that I am absolutely nutty about telling people about. Because I found digesting 1 week at a time so much more palatable at first than taking on a whole year. You know, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, well, I want to take on an entire year, but then they give up by the second or third week of January. And it's like kind of crappy, right? So I decided I wanted to do even better than just having a one good day. And so I started really digging into this weekly process. So this weekly process really boils down to a few key steps. The first key step is to review last week. And I like to look at, overall, just an overall, did I show up as my best self in the past week? And I'm always telling my clients, you rate your 10. So 10 out of 10 being, so awesome according to you, according to you. And so I love you kind of setting your 10 because you know what your potential energy was and how you did. And a lot of people are like, I'm never going to give myself a 10. I'm only ever going to give myself a 9. All right, cool. But you're still the one setting that 10. You're still setting that 10. And so like being honest with yourself, like how awesome were you? Did you really play all out? Did you leave it on the field, as we like to say around here? And, then I like to think about, well, what really happened? Because when I first started doing this, I realized that I was living my life so much on autopilot. And so often when we think like, I need to have a better quality of life, I need to have better circumstances, I need a bigger bank account, I need a smaller waist, I need better, relationships around me, we fail to realize just how much we're just going through the motions, and we aren't aware of just how we have played the role in creating the motion. So it starts with awareness. It starts with really like saying like, hey, hang on, like what actually happened in the past week? What am I tolerating? What am I tolerating from last week that it would be so good to just like release it or accept it or, just like let it live where it belongs in the past. And this release process has been so super huge of just letting the past live where it does, and allowing the emotions that you have to finally settle out, to finally process, to decide what your feelings are and allow the feelings to happen. Personal development is very personal. And there's a lot of people who tell you should feel like this, you should feel like that. You feel like you feel, and when you invalidate those feelings or you delay the processing of those feelings, or you live in this land of Delulu where you think the feelings are different than what they should be, you're just stuck, right? Like it's this stuck place. And it's much better to ground yourself in a reality of what they are so that you can move through and you can make a decision and you can keep going. And I think like the best way I have found to end this portion of it is to end in gratitude. What are the gifts? What are you grateful for from this past week? What did you learn that you can carry forward? What are the relationships you're so grateful for? What are the hard lessons, the challenges? What are those moments that you are so grateful for, right? I love this, looking at your energy. And, I actually just hosted a live event for our mastermind members, our Alchemy Mastermind members. And you can shout out Alchemy anywhere that you're watching this, and I will definitely let you know about details around Alchemy if you're interested in it. But we spoke at length at our in-person mastermind about how your energy and how much physiological and psychological and sociological energy you have dictates the rest. Because you could be running, whatever code you want, any kind of process that you want to. But if your energy is completely messed up, like everything else becomes really, really challenging. So, assessing that energy and making some notes about, okay, I want to address X, Y, and Z. I want to make this, that, and the other adjustment helps you infinitely. And, setting that intention for the next week is so huge, right? Your why. Why do I need to bring my best self to this coming week? What are those priorities, right? How do you organize those priorities? So I have here an example of what I call my priority pyramid, where when I'm lining things out on the calendar, if I was to start with a zero-based calendar and it was completely blank and I'm just writing things down on my calendar from scratch, the first things that go on that calendar are the things that are for me. And, when I first started this practice, I'm like, I feel so selfish. I feel so selfish. Like, am I allowed to do it like this? But it is important, because if mama's not sleeping, if mama's not eating, if mama feels like a super grumpy Gus, then we're going to have a big problem. Like, I'm not going to be able to partner very well with my life partner. I'm not going to be the best, mom that I hope to be. And the thing is, you'll notice for me, my mission, my career is 1, 2, 3, 4 down on this pyramid, right? If you're it's the triangle I'm looking at on here, if it's like tiny and you're on your phone. It's number 4. And I'm just dead clear about that. And the reason why for me it looks like this, and you might have something else on here, I've had clients that do this and they're like, oh, I put faith at the top of this and then I put me. That's cool, right? Like, you can put your priorities however you want to put it. To me, I put things like my spirituality, in the me, in the me part of my pyramid. The point is that if I don't have some kind of a prioritization scheme, and for me, the prioritization scheme is very driven by the long-term impact of the decision. So, I am going to be living with me for a very long time. And, this is why I would imagine a lot of people would put faith at the top of this, is because your faith is an eternity, right? So you put that at the very top, because the ramifications of that, that is a long-term decision, isn't it? So, then, with your spouse and your partner, again, like that's a lifer. That's a lifer commitment. So the decisions you make today are going to impact you for a very long time. And I think people forget this, day to day. We forget how important it is to show up today for the decisions that are going to be affecting us for the tomorrow and the tomorrow and the tomorrow and the tomorrow and the tomorrow after that, right? The thing about mission and career is it is occupying a massive portion of my focus and my attention, for this season, for sure, in my life. But I'm probably not going to be working for as long as I'm going to have my children in my life. You see what I'm saying? So having that prioritization clear for the long-term ramifications of the decisions is super important. I think thinking about what am I intentionally putting off has been one of the game changers of my life, because I used to think that life was all about emptying inboxes, and I think it was Brendan Burchard that had a worksheet that had, just at the bottom of it, it said, inboxes are a convenient organization system for everyone else's priorities. And I will be the first person to admit that I get addicted to checking inboxes, and we all are. You know, the average American is spending hours a day of their life on social media, and it's usually not on such high quality content as this. But stick with me here. You know, they are scrolling through everyone else's priorities and failing to set their own, you know, and they're coping. You know, I call that a coping behavior, a coping thing. And I struggle too. I have to be so intentional. I joke that I have now multiple phone coffins. You know, I have my phone over there. I have an app on my phone that literally locks me out to slow down the brain processing, to make sure I don't just zombie mode into other people's priorities. Because it is like, and hey, don't feel bad, because you know, armies of really smart people have been designing ways to gather your attention and steal it from your priorities, because attention is literally the hottest commodity in the world. So, you know, this is, by the way, the weekly review process, and this is just the first habit. I'm going to go through the other 4 habits much faster, but this is a foundational habit that I really want to invite you into, that I do every single week. And, you know, I've been doing this for literally over a decade, and I still do it. I would say, you know, I'm a bit of a process, like a neo-process file, meaning like I'm always looking for the new thing. I love new tech. I love new process. I love new system. I love it. You know, I get like addicted to it. Like I love it. But this one has lived with me and lived on for like over a decade. And you know, I've even taken aspects of this and I've like said, how can I use ChatGPT to help me with my weekly review process? But still the fundamentals of the process stay the exact same. And, you know, if that's not crazy telling to you of how important it is to do this, even through all the technology changes, even through like, because I did this even before I ever became an entrepreneur. I did this like when I was a young whippersnapper as a corporate consultant. I did this before having children. I did this, you know, like back in the day, so far back in the day. So what are the other 4 habits? Habit number 2 is don't do nothing without a calendar. Don't do nothing without a calendar. So put another way, you know, always schedule everything. And one calendar to rule them all. I use one calendar to schedule my entire life. And I used to have so much anxiety about this because I was like, oh, what if I don't schedule my week correctly? I'm going to tell you something. I have yet to have the exact ideal perfect week. I always go for it. I always go for that 10 out of 10 perfect week. But I'm telling you this, a week with intention, where I made adjustments along the way, beats a week where I had no plan at all every single time. Okay. I used to think having white space on my calendar represented freedom. It represents chaos, right? Because what ends up happening is when my mind hasn't already decided what I want to do with the time, I'm left with in the moment decisions, and those decisions are rarely good. They're rarely very good, and because then I end up doing that default to other people's inboxes thing, you know, and I leave it up to others to decide what to do with my time, and I never feel as good. So yeah, one calendar to rule them all. And, you know, if I end up having a week where the calendar was filled with things that I regret, hey, at least it's my fault. At least it's my problem. At least it was on me, and I think that that's something that I really wish that I figured out a lot sooner, because as soon as I got radically committed to owning my calendar, I got really radically productive. And by the way, little Miss ADHD, like seriously, I am so crazy distractible. And I also, here's the other side of the ADHD coin, I can access hyperfocus. I can get into insane levels of flow. But again, if I'm not the one in the driver's seat of the decision making about where we're going to put that energy and time, and I'm not tapped into my own motivation about why I want to do something, bye-bye hyperfocus. Just saying. Okay, habit number 3. So habit number 3 is sleep. Sleep. I love sleep. Sleep is my favorite. Sleep is so good. Like if you fall down over and over and over again over your weekly reviews and you fall down on your calendar, heaven forbid, just go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed earlier. Be ritualistic about bed. A lot of people have a lot of anxiety about sleep quality, not being able to go to sleep. I totally get it. I understand. I used to be a wild night owl, and I had to sleep train myself as an adult. Not kidding. I had to sleep train myself as an adult. And I still go through phases where I have lower quality of sleep. I still go through phases where I will wake up at the OMG o'clock in the morning. And, so I'm not here to say that I have the most high quality sleep ever. I am telling you, it is my game-changing habit though. So when life is getting you down, sleep. So there are so many things that will affect your sleep quality, and you can turn it into a delicious game to reduce your distractions before bed. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. Stop working a couple of hours before bed. For sure, eliminate blue light and just like stop with all of the mayhem before bed. And use it as an excuse to get bougie with your what do you call sheets and stuff? Sheets and stuff? I don't know. Sheets and stuff. And your nightwear, pajamas, whatnot. You could get really bougie with that. And for that matter, like you could get into the teas, you could get into baths. They've done studies that show that if you have a lovely bath that warms up your core temperature and then you go to bed, it helps you like cool off in some bizarre way. I don't know. I'm not the scientist that did the study. I'm just saying there are like only 1.5 million things you can try to support you with sleep. I know that there's like a ton of anxiety about my sleep's not good enough, and that can actually make it harder to sleep. But I'm telling you, hack number 3 is to work on sleep. And the more I relaxed about sleep, the better. A couple of things that really did help me personally were earplugs to block noise and an eye mask to black things out completely. Those 2 things can really help me a lot in general. But yeah, sleep is like a wonderful habit. 4, another big habit for 4 is surround yourself with people you like. And this can take a little bit of doing, So how do you find people you like? Well, I think it really helps to figure out what you like. What interests you? What is fun for you? And if you're like, I don't know what's fun, I don't know what I like, well, you could start with what you don't like. And, until I really gave myself permission to not like things, so that I could then give myself permission to like things, and frankly, I had like a big issue for a while with, I'm not allowed to judge things because that makes me a jerk. Honey, if you have some discernment about what you like and you don't like, then you're allowed to then go to certain clubs that you like, or you're allowed to, go to particular, events that you like. And the thing is that if you can go to gatherings where other people also like what you like, and you just give yourself permission to be a person who likes those things, then you're probably going to find people who also like those things, and then you have something to talk about. This took me a minute to figure out. And the thing is just because you met people that like those things doesn't mean you're going to be 100% copacetic in every single department. Give yourself permission to meet lots of people all the time. If you just have fun with meeting people, I think somewhere along the way, I really internalized that stranger danger, and strangers are dangerous, to the point where it was really damaging. I talked at a live event about a former persona of mine, Wallflower Mandy, where I would go to a literal networking event and hide. I don't think that's a good strategy for meeting people. You want to be proactive, and you can even do this online. Go join groups that are just interesting. Don't feel like you have to meet people for a specific stated purpose. Just go be friendly and you will have friends. All right. 5th big idea, huge habit, let yourself be a work in progress. Fall in love with the idea that you are so excited by figuring things out, right? Instead of thinking like you have to be this Pollyanna perfect person who is so smart, who has already figured everything out, who has everything all buttoned up, who has everything, just fall so in love with being the person who figures things out. Because if you fall in love with being the person who figures things out, you then give yourself permission to mess up, to be in experiment mode, to fail, to throw on a lab coat, to have things blow up, to make messes, and to clean them up too, to be willing to apologize, to be a person who lets other people kind of breathe around you. And that habit of allowing growth, allowing yourself to be a person who figures things out and allowing yourself to grow, it's a very attractive quality. And people like that because it gives them permission to be that. And I would say that it's one of those character traits that you can cultivate that is going to absolutely change your life. So that's what I had for you this week. I hope that you have an amazing week, and we will see you on an upcoming Extra